Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nito King, and we've got Keats looking especially dapper today because we've got a special guest to greet.
Hello, I'm Hippo Swarm.
So, I take it you bring a special type of expertise to the arena?
I'm fairly versed in a lot of different history stuff, and I actually served in the military myself, so Warcadia seems like an interesting place to throw in my 2 cents.
Alright, so I guess just to start with, is there anything interesting you've got to say about any of the folks?
Um, I I think it's actually kind of amusing that you have the one that's a senior officer that just kind of stands back and orders people. I mean, from a military standpoint, like officers are always kind of PT studs. You know, they are genuinely badasses most of the time, but they tend to sit at a desk a lot, and not many people like them more often than not. And actually, I think the bestiary mentions that about a couple of the uh, subordinate folk in Morcadia.
Yeah, there was a quest in the last video where we had to help them get revenge on Broombear.
Oh, so it's a good old fashioned mutiny.
Either that or just looking to restore a bit of order.
Well, getting rid of the higher ups usually has that effect.
Yeah, you gotta take them down a peg every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Officers always seem to be lacking in the common sense department. Common sense is an uncommon virtue.
Well, that is usually how they get promoted in my experience.
Mine as well.
Yep. So basically what we gotta do here is kill a whole bunch of folks with a whole bunch of folks. I think most of the requirements I've got are kill certain numbers of folks with everything else.
Well, it seems kind of fitting.
Yeah. This is war!
I must say they actually did a really good job on the atmosphere in this place. Like it's very cool.
So, remind you of any places you've been?
Uh, I guess you know like some of the towns you drive through overseas can definitely have this feel to it, but there wasn't really that much going on when I was over. So I guess the atmosphere is similar, just not the explosions and all that crap.
Well, I would hope not. I mean, I know there were a bunch of explosions, just probably not where you were at the time.
Well, there was one that actually just shook the entire base that I was on. That was well, luckily most of the family didn't know too much about that when it first happened.
I imagine they would have been pretty worried.
Mm-hmm.
So, finished defeating 5 folks with Broombear, now I gotta defeat 10 folks with Broombear. At least it's an easy folk to kill stuff with.
Yeah, he is definitely fearsome.
So I guess, is there any particular historical perspective you might be able to offer on any of the imagery you see here?
Um, in all honesty, I mean, I would say it's probably reminiscent of the World Wars. I mean, just uh, not so much World War One because that was mostly trench warfare, but like when they would get into the cities, it was really just guerrilla tactics, and you know, just having like all these guys just kind of in the courtyard sitting around waiting is it's almost like you're a sneak attack coming in on them. Because like I don't like are these guys like fighting a war against someone else or is it against each other?
Well, there are supposedly 2 different factions of folks that are fighting against each other in Morcadia. I'm not sure if all the folks we're seeing are one side, if they're fighting the rebels, or if there are 2 different groups of folks. It might be the organic ones against the metallic ones. but they never attack each other.
Yeah, that was what I was noticing the first time I was watching one of these videos, was that, like, it just seems like you're the only one going in and killing things. So,
I expect that having messengers is probably pretty disruptive to normal netherworld activities. I mean, we've already established in the story that simply Ellen's presence in a particular realm allows the fairies to enter it.
mm-hmm.
And there's an interesting karma. Defeat 2 Gargantua with Broombear. We'll be having a lot of fun with that, I can tell you.
Who do you have to beat them with?
With Broombear.
Okay, well, at least he's a beast.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And I just love flamethrowers just for the pure fact that they must have come about by someone just thinking, I really want to set that thing on fire. I'm just not close enough for it.
I think most of man's greatest inventions are from the desire to create more and better destruction.
Well, one thing that defense policy nuts love talking about is how, like, the more advanced the weaponry gets, the less discriminate it is about who you're attacking. So basically, like, the more destructive power of a weapon, the more likely you are to hurt your own people as the enemy.
Yeah, and there's also the amount of damage you do. I mean, it's almost comical to me that if you attack someone, you're compelled to kill them. You can't maim somebody, for example.
Well, for and this isn't really a military thing, but police operations, they're always trying to develop new and better non-lethal weapons, but usually it's like, how much more can we hurt the person without actually killing them?
Well, yeah, non-lethal weaponry, tasers came out of that sort of thing, but at least in the Navy, in my experience, we could create a weapon that would kill someone, and that's perfectly fine, but you can't create a weapon that will, say, deafen or blind an enemy combatant. So, if you're going to make someone deaf, you'd better hope they don't survive it. Which is a really weird way of thinking.
There's a machine gun that the Marine Corps trains us in that we're actually the only service that gets it. However, we're actually not allowed to use it anymore because it's seen as too destructive. It's basically a rapid-fire grenade launcher. I forget the actual designation for it, but this thing is just ridiculous. It fires like 200 40mm explosive rounds a minute. Like, you could just level a city block with that thing in a matter of minutes. And there you have some good old-fashioned artillery.
Of course. I said before, the Gargantua seems to be a lot easier to aim for Keats. And it doesn't seem to matter what distance I'm at, the shell pretty much always lands right on the head of the hawk I'm targeting.
Yeah, if only our modern artillery was that accurate.
Well, it should be. We should be using stuff like targeting computers and laser guides.
To some extent we do. I mean, I've gotten to sit in on a couple of artillery shoots, and those things, granted you're only firing a matter of a couple of yards here, but like, our weapons fire like 30 plus miles. It's kind of tough to be spot on accurate when you're firing that kind of distance.
Well, you just got to make sure you're accounting for stuff like the wind, the loud machine gun noises coming on the far side of the wall.
No, I think that after you've sat in on one of those artillery shoots, the only thing that you're hearing is the ringing in your ears after those guns go off.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been at an artillery shoot. I was at an event where we were launching missiles. But we weren't even allowed to be outside at the time. Every time they were about to launch the missiles, they'd announce like 5 minutes in advance, you have to take shelter. Still pretty fun, though.
I actually have a video on my phone of this shoot where like they're doing rapid fire with their guns, and the goal is to have it loaded and shot every 20 seconds. And each time the gun would go off, and like before the ring was out of your ears, and before they would fire the next shot, like that was right around the time you would hear the shell explode from the previous shot.
Yes, the old light versus sound speed dichotomy.
Well, no, this was like it took about 18 to 25 seconds for the shell to reach its destination.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't really be working with distances that are long enough to notice the sound delay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean on on the Gargantua, you know, who really cares about the distance? He's just blowing everything up in sight.
Yeah, it doesn't really work on close targets, but it works great on targets that are below you.
No, elevation is always a key factor in any fight, so... Well, with modern weapons at least.
Yeah, in this game, elevation usually gets in your way no matter which direction it goes. I mean, there's crystals that you can't hit because they're too high up and you don't have any attacks of the right element.
Yeah, I think in the in one of the fights in the Elm video, you were commenting on the fact that the rapid fire folk, that his shots, like the elevation doesn't really matter, like he'll adjust to the elevation, which has got that's convenient, you know. That's
Yeah, if you're targeting a lot of attacks, will change their characteristics slightly to adjust and make sure they're hitting the target as best they can. But some of them just have a target area and that's what they're going to hit. I think Keats' Barrager is so much better though.
see, look, now you're just attacking these folk that are on their way home, you know. They were done fighting for the day, and you just walk up and start killing them.
If they're done fighting, why are they trying to stab bayonets into me?
Well, because they saw you. They're like, oh, something to kill. Okay.
Yeah, I know some of the folks are named after actual military technology. And I know Hawk and Patriot are both types of missiles.
Mm-hmm.
The Warthog is the nickname of a particular ground support bomber.
Mm-hmm.
So I always took it for a UAV, but it seems like it's actually, you know, a manned craft.
Yeah, the probably a more accurate acronym would be LAV, light armored vehicle. You know, it's basically a gun truck.
I mean, the Warthog I read about, like an F1 or F14 or something like that. I probably should have pulled it up on Wikipedia before starting, but I'm lazy.
I probably should have too.
That's alright, I got click removal.
Yeah, I mean, I drove trucks, but I never touched a Warthog in my career, so.
Oh yeah, there is that Warthog too, isn't there? I was thinking of a completely different one. And of course the Dreadnought is a class of battleship. I think it may be the biggest class of battleship.
Sadly, I'm not too familiar with naval terms.
See, I should be. And here we go. The Fairchild Republic A-10 Thunderbolt II, commonly known by the nicknames Warthog or Hog. So, there's our educational content for this video. Now we can just talk about whatever.
It's also a vehicle in Halo.
Oh, of course. So let's just talk about other games for a moment. I think I've killed everything I really need to, so I'm just capturing stuff for the experience now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of times where, like, you've walked into a courtyard or something like that, and I just kind of get the feeling like, hey, these guys are just taking a coffee break.
Well, sometimes they charge too far and just stop on one foot.
No, I just love the ones that just kind of, like, run blindly forward and, you know, they don't hit anything, but they just keep on running anyway.
Well, it's what they're trained to do.
Yeah, it reminds me of Lance Corporals. They just kind of keep doing what they're doing, and you know, they hope for the best.
Yeah, that's right. What was your rank, anyway?
I finished up as a corporal. I could have made sergeant, but I didn't want to sit upstairs doing paperwork all day.
Oh, is that what sergeants did? I thought they just yelled at people.
In the active duty they do, in the reserves not so much. They, I pretty much never saw my sergeants once I picked up corporal. So, I was like, you know what, I think I'll stick with corporal and, you know, get to continue working on the trucks and getting to hang out with my Marines a bit.
Well, I think everybody likes playing with fancy technology. So who wants to fight a guy that uses a flamethrower on us?
That doesn't sound like as much fun.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry, but that's what we're gonna have to do. In high speed, of course.
I always love the noises of fast forward. Always sounds like chipmunks. Chipmunks fighting a war.
Well, actually, I don't think I pitch shift. I might. And all I really do is speed up the samples, so I guess you get a kind of Doppler effect or something. I kind of wanted to see whether this guy is actually vulnerable to the destroy element, because in the video I concluded that he wasn't, but I never managed to hit him with it. And what I really need to do here is kill 2 of them with bullseye.
Oh my god.
Bullseye is not all that strong, but he's effective.
Yeah, and I mean, he has long range, so at least he can keep your distance.
And he has the same drop as Gargantua, so that definitely saves me the trouble of, say, grinding Gargantua.
Yeah, but Gargantua, he doesn't seem as effective with how quickly he was moving, so...
Oh, what I mean is, Volcano drops green quartz, which is the same item that Gargantua drops. If I ever need a whole lot of them to build up something, then I just gotta kill a bunch of guys that drop them.
Okay.
It would be nice if this game had a shop or something, so you could buy whatever item you need, but it doesn't.
That's because there are no shops in war.
Well, there aren't now.
But yeah, we call them PXs. Yay.
Yeah, and the commissaries as well. I guess those would be more general and open to more federal employees.
Well, the P, like, overseas, the PX is what you get. Like, if you're in Iraq or Afghanistan, like, you know, you got the PX, which basically has, you know, whatever you would need from the commissary. I mean, yeah, you're not going to go to the PX and buy, like, you know, fresh fruits and vegetables while you're in Iraq.
But I like fresh fruits and vegetables.
Well, you'll have to just go to the chow hall for them then.
Okay, well there we go. That's 1 Gargantua killed with Gargantua. And Gargantua is at its strongest. Then I just gotta kill the 2 with Broombear. But I figured I'd show off one of the DLC folks.
But their Gargantua is so much bigger than your Gargantua.
Yeah, that happens. So this is Maximilian. Basically, you charge him up, and he explodes over a wide area. Not very effective yet, because I can't unlock any of its karmas, but it certainly has range. And it's just sort of fun to watch.
Yeah, that is quite the impressive attack right there.
See, now I'm going to date the video. We're recording this, I think, on the first full day of the U.S. government shutdown. So, yeah, my joke about the PX and the commissaries is they're all closed right now. But the ones that are overseas are actually still open.
Yeah, that's because you really don't want to face a bunch of ag marines and soldiers with no cigarettes. Oh man, that would not be a pretty sight.
I don't think I've ever met any military people who were deprived of cigarettes, but I've known some civilians who had to go without. They're not all that much fun.
Yeah, during any training exercise you ever do in the military, there are undoubtedly going to be times where you go out to the field expecting like, okay, 3 days we'll be able to go make a run to the PX, and then day 6 or 7 rolls around and you're like, oh shit, I should have brought more cigarettes with me.
Yeah, one of the things that just came up for Quasarili's Karmas is it requires green ores. And I checked a fact, nothing drops green ores in this chapter.
So you just can't get what you need?
Yeah, but that's alright. Quasarili is the other DLC folk, and I did actually show off in the raw video what it does, but then I cut that part out for time, so we'll have to wait until the next chapter to see it.
Oh, fast forward again.
Yep, because basically I just wanted to get through this place. I need to get 3 more green dusts, and there's 1. I just want to kill the Kilmulas and move on. Take these guys down as quickly as I can. It's always fun using Transcension. I kind of hate having to speed that up, but this video would have been really long otherwise.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of just running.
But again, we have one of my favorite dichotomies of using the Warcadia folks in a realm that isn't theirs, shooting down Kilmulas with a machine gun.
Yeah, it seems like going to the Enchanted Forest and blasting away at shit with a shotgun. Actually, not a bad idea. But
Yeah, and actually, Pori is no problem at all if you can keep it at a distance. It just isn't a very fast fight, which doesn't help too much in the timed quests. And I didn't want to fight another one, so I just left the room and came back until there were some more Kilmulas, and maybe one of them will drop a green dust. All 3 of them do.
hey, you gotta get lucky sooner or later.
And then I couldn't remember which folk it was that needed them. It's Patriot, and the next karma is green ores.
Of course it is.
So we're done here.
Yay.
And it's just a long hike back to the nearest save point so that I can save. Of course, I think the nearest save point was actually a couple rooms ahead, but I didn't want to have to deal with Andrast again. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed the video, and thanks for guesting.
Not a problem, anytime.
And next time, we'll take on Dreadnought for the final time. See you then.